Hello everyone, welcome back to episode 2 of our channel, The Journey of Lockdown.
It was something new in our timetable, something called as living conversation. I was very excited to know what are we going to learn in this subject. With the very respectful journey with our ma'am, we had something very great things to learn. Hello guys, this is Pratham Yadav and I am from Aligarh, the city famous for locks and university.
One fine evening, I received a notification saying that I've been added in a group. The group seemed a bit sketchy to me at first, and that's how my journey with living conversations began. Hello everyone, my name is Nivedita Das, and I'm a part of the Daredevils team, which organizes fun and brainstorming activities for all the living conversation cohorts across UPS.
Previously, our friends Pratham and Nivaj gave an insight into the condition of immigrants in India during the lockdown. Overnight, the cities they had built and ran seemed to have turned their backs on them. The trains and bus services, which should have carried them home, were suspended. So, with the looming fear of hunger, men and women were forced to begin an endless journey to their villages, cycling or hiking rides on tuk-tuks, lowers, water tankers, and milk vans. For many, walking was the only option. Some traveled for a few hundred kilometers, while others converged more than 1,000 to return their homes and anxious families. They weren't all alone. Some had young children and others had pregnant wives. And life they had built for themselves, packed into their rucksack bags. Many never made it, and yet it was not the only challenge they faced.
On 24 March 2020, the Government of India under Prime Minister Narendra Modi ordered a nationwide lockdown for 21 days, limiting movement of the entire 1.3 billion population of India as a preventive measure against the COVID-19 pandemic. It was ordered after a 14-hour voluntary public curfew on 22nd March, followed by enforcement of a series of regulations in the country's COVID-19 affected regions. A panic situation was formed. As the end of the first lockdown period approached, state governments and other advisory committees recommended extending the lockdown. This is when people started losing their jobs. India's massive workforce was hit hard by the coronavirus.
According to the Center for Monitoring the Indian Economy (CMIE), India's unemployment rate now at a record high of 27.1%. The new data shows India's unemployment rate figures are four times that of US. India does not release official data of jobs, but CMI data is widely accepted. The country has been in lockdown since 25th of March to curb COVID-19 infection, causing mass layoff and heavy job losses. Unemployment hit 23.5% in April, a sharp spike from 8.7% in March. The attribute to the lockdown, which brought most economic activities except in essential services such as hospital, pharmacies, food supplies to a standstill.
Scenes of desperate migrant workers, particularly daily wage earners, fleeing cities on foot to return to their villages, filled TV screens and newspapers for most of April. Their casual jobs, which employed 90% of the population, were the first to be hit as construction stopped and the cities suspended public transport. But protracted curfew and the continued closure of business and the uncertainty of when the lockdown would end hasn't spared permanent or regular jobs either.
Large companies across various sectors media, aviation, retail, hospitality, automobiles have announced massive layoffs in recent weeks, and experts predict that many small and medium businesses are likely to shut shops together. A closer look at CMIE's data shows the devastating effect the lockdown has had on India's organized economy. Of 122 million who have lost their jobs, 91.3 million were small traders and laborers, but fairly significant number of salaried workers, 17.8 million, and self-employed people, 18.2 million, have also lost job work.
Agriculture, which remains the mainstay of the Indian economy, has bucked the trend, adding workers in both March and April. This isn't unusual as many daily wage earners return to farming in times of crisis according to CMIE. The lockdown was slated to an end on 17 May, but some states had extended it further with no clear indication as to when the country as a whole might emerge from the lockdown. And this brings us to our next topic, which is pandemic and panic.
On Thursday, March 19, a few hours before Prime Minister Narendra Modi was about to address the nation about the coronavirus situation, the Chief Executive Officer of Parasar Bharati, the India's public broadcast, said the speculation about an impending lockdown was incorrect and unnecessary, causing panic. On Saturday, March 21, a day before country prepared to go into a self-imposed Janta curfew, at the arguing of the Prime Minister, the Joint Secretary of Health Minister asked people not to use word lockdown, saying there is no plan for a lockdown. On Sunday, March 22, India announced that 75 districts were going to go into lockdown. How did things change so quickly? In a span of 6 days, India seems to have completely alert its approach to tackling the COVID-19 situation.
From cautious optimism about being able to control an imported disease to a situation in which 30 states and union territories were under complete lockdown, questions were now being asked about haphazard decision making and whether the government had failed to design a graded plan over the previous month. Thousands crowded grocery stores, vegetable shops, and petrol pumps to stock up, many ignoring the safety norms. Anxiety over access to essential goods, particularly among people who do not store articles for long periods, triggered panic buying. Although the government had a wide list of permitted activities barring emergencies, care needs of patients with chronic non COVID conditions, and death of kin, the average citizen can weather a lockdown reasonably well if food, medicines, and other essentials were available. Longer shutdowns created other stresses since no household maintenance work was possible and spares were not available.
Police in the busy cities patrol the streets with megaphones to tell the residents to stay indoors. All of this was witnessed even after PM Modi assured that the initial services will continue to run and that the center was working closely with the state to ensure there would be no shortage of initial supplies. Soon after seeing the reports of panic buying, PM Modi tweeted, there is absolutely no need to panic. Initial services like medicines and other things would be available. Central and various state governments will work in close coordination to ensure this, PM Modi said. Under the new measures, all non-essential business will be closed, but hospital and other medical facilities will continue to function as normal. Schools and university will remain shut, and almost public gathering will be banned, the government announced.
As the days passed, this panic among the people started declining. The panic situation came to a halt, but India faced a new challenge now: mental health. After the COVID 19 outbreak, during the lockdown itself, the Indian Psychiatric Society reported that mental health concerns have escalated by an alarming 20%, with an unprecedented rise in psychosocial concerns like family issues, depressions, anxiety disorders, substance abuse, sexual abuse, and domestic violence. Stress and panic attacks have increased by over 35%. Those with depression or anxiety disorders in rumination are seeing a relapse. People with OCDs like the compulsion to wash hands are understandably in a state of panic. Sadly, we have seen suicides as well because of this pandemic. At present, 40% of the new cases post lockdown are related to anxiety disorders, 20% to depressions, 5% to OCD exacerbation, and 20% to relationship issues.
This is what our friends Menang and Nirmaya are going to discuss in the next episode. Now we have a question for everyone, especially for Adviti ma'am. Answer our questions through comment. Thank you.
So, our question is: do you think the COVID pandemic will change life globally significantly? Answer our question through comments. Thank you. Stay tuned and stay safe until we meet on our next episode again.